What if the person you tried to destroy was the same one who secretly saved your mother's life? The first thing that shattered against the floor was a ceramic pot overflowing with white gardenias. It didn't simply fall. It was swept violently off the counter by the arm of a man who had never once been told that his anger carried consequences. The pot cracked against the tile, soil spreading like a dark wound across the shop floor. Then came another. And another. A row of glass vases toppled one after another, water soaking into petals of freshly cut blooms. Buckets of lilies tipped, sideways, spilling across the entrance like a storm had ripped through. By the time Daniel Parker turned to leave, half the interior of Carter Bloom's looked like chaos itself had taken root. And through all of it, Emily Carter said nothing. She stood behind the ruined counter, both hands pressed flat against the wood, her expression not anger, not even hurt, something quieter, heavier. That silence unnerved Daniel far more than any scream ever could. He pushed through the door without looking back. Daniel Parker was 38, a man who had spent a decade reshaping the city skyline. He didn't just buy buildings, he erased neighborhoods, theaters, corner cafes that had fed families for generations. All of it replaced by towers with his company's name etched in steel. People called him relentless. His board called him visionary. Nobody called him kind, and he had never lost sleep over that. Cole Plaza was supposed to be his masterpiece, a billion-dollar complex in the city's heart. Every property had been acquired, every contract signed, except one. Carter Bloom's wedged stubbornly between two aging brick buildings, refusing to move. A small flower shop with a hand-painted sign, a weathered wooden door, and window boxes bursting with color. Daniel had sent 3 offers before ever stepping inside. Market value, double, 4 times. Enough to set anyone up for life. Each time, Emily Carter declined, not with lawyers, not with counteroffers, just polite handwritten notes. Thank you for your interest. The shop is not for sale. His lawyers warned, construction couldn't begin until that parcel was secured. Every week of delay cost millions. So Daniel decided to go himself, because in his world, things that resisted him simply hadn't yet been confronted directly enough. When he walked in that morning, he wasn't prepared for what it felt like inside. Light streamed through windows in warm angles, catching dust motes above buckets of fresh flowers. The air was alive, green, and sweet. For a moment, something in his chest loosened. An old memory tried to surface. He shoved it down. He slid the contract across the counter. Name your price. Whatever number makes sense to you, I'll match it. I just need this resolved. Emily looked at the paper, then at him. Dark eyes steady, calm born of long-made peace. I appreciate that, but this shop isn't for sale. Everything has a price. Not this. My grandmother built this place. She gave 40 years of her life to it. This isn't a transaction. It's the only thing I have left of her. Daniel's patience dissolved. Your grandmother is gone, he said coldly. The building is old. The neighborhood is changing whether you want it to or not. I'm offering you enough to build something new anywhere you want. I don't want something new, Emily whispered. I want this. And something inside him snapped. Months of frustration collided at once. Investors waiting. Contractors stalled. Permits ticking down. His arms swept across the shelves before he even realized. Pots crashed, vases shattered, water splashed cold across the tiles. He kept going until the shop was wrecked, his breath ragged, silence broken only by a single stem rolling across the floor. Emily knelt down. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She picked up one flower at a time, setting them gently aside, as though she still intended to open tomorrow. Daniel stared at her, then stormed out. Hours later, Daniel stood in a hospital corridor. His mother, Margaret Parker, had been fighting a disease that demanded a rare donor. Without it, she wouldn't survive the year. He had paid for every specialist, tested every relative, Nothing. Until, against all odds, an anonymous donor appeared. Perfect match. The procedure saved her life. Margaret often spoke of that stranger with tenderness. Someone decided I was worth saving, and they didn't even stay to be thanked. Daniel had tried to uncover who it was. Lawyers, administrators, networks. Nothing. Until that night. A nurse's folder slipped open. A routine donor file. And there, clipped at the back, was a photograph. Dark eyes. Calm expression. The same face he had watched kneel quietly on a flower shop floor just hours earlier. Emily Carter. The realization hit him like a collapse. The woman whose shop he had destroyed was the same woman who had saved his mother's life. The next morning, Daniel returned. The shop was still open. Emily was sweeping broken ceramic into a dustpan. She looked up, her expression unchanged. Daniel's rehearsed apology dissolved. I was at the hospital last night, my mother's hospital. I saw your photograph. I know what you did, and I know what I did yesterday. Those two things don't fit together in any way that makes me look like anything other than exactly what I was. Emily folded her arms. You didn't know. That doesn't fix it. He offered to rebuild the shop, cover every repair, redesign the plaza around it. She listened, then said quietly, I don't want your money. I saved your mother because someone needed saving, not because of who she was. I didn't know her. I just knew she needed help. And what you did yesterday was wrong. But I don't need compensation. I just need you to leave this place alone. And for the first time in his career, Daniel Parker changed the plan. 6 months later, Parker Plaza opened. Towers gleamed, fountains danced, restaurants overflowed. Journalists called it a landmark. And right at the center, surrounded by steel and glass, stood one small flower shop with a hand-painted sign and a wooden door propped open. The plaza literally curved around it. On opening day, Margaret walked slowly on Daniel's arm. Inside the shop, she paused at a photograph. A younger, Emily beside her grandmother. Margaret's voice trembled. She told Daniel a story she had never shared. Decades ago, when his father died and she was left with nothing, she collapsed in winter cold. And the woman who found her, who fed her, who gave her warmth without asking for anything, was Emily's grandmother. Kindness always comes back around, Margaret whispered. Emily smiled softly. Flowers always bloom again. Daniel looked out at his plaza, towers, fountains, people, all exactly as he had imagined. And one thing more, the smallest building, now the most important, not built on profit, built on generations of kindness. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness has a longer memory than we think. And if you're new here, subscribe to Kindness Tales Stories. More powerful stories like this are waiting for you.